Click the links for Odyssey, BitChute, join channel, become a member, channel, subscribe, sorry, go to the Telegram or Gap. So, whose streets? Sesame Streets. First of all, never apologize to grifters or Marxists. This guy shows a 1 minute video of the overwhelming volume of videos showcasing Sesame Place's intentional mistreatment of adorable black children. As someone says later on in the Twitter, like, you think the people who go dress up in those costumes, even the most hardcore istophobic, you're saying they're so hate-filled to work at a park to deal with kids. These probably high school kids are so hate-filled that they're willing to ignore two adorable black kids, two adorable black girls. That strains the belief of even the most hardcore istophobe to not go give a high five to two adorable little black girls. That's insane. And other people are saying stuff like, do you even hear yourselves when they say this kind of nonsense? Here's the thing. Almost nobody believes that this is real. Nobody, and even they're straining societal's polite bounds of where you have to pretend to take people seriously. Obviously, I don't pretend to take them seriously. These are grifters. All they want is money for emotional damage. I'm not sure what their legal cause of action is. It's not a battery if you didn't actually commit the harmful or offensive touching. The closest you might be able to come is some federal USC code. Even that is going to be a stretch, because then you have to somehow attach damages to it. Legally, I know you're going to have a rough time to say that you have some intentional infliction of emotional distress because of contact not being made, because of disparate treatment or allegedly disparate treatment. And have you met the burden of proving it with the 3-second original clip and then these 1 minute clip that shows, the clips show nothing. They do not show what you claim they show. No, legally you have no cause of action or nothing that would survive summary judgment. But that's, that even this lawyer who sounds like he sounds slow. The guy sounds slow. They know that also. But they're hoping for a settlement. They're hoping for, it probably would not take much to make them go away. Like $100,000, the lawyer takes half and the family takes half for trauma for the kids. Because he gave a little speech the other day. He said, the daughter is so traumatized, she's isolated. No, she's not. Nobody believes that. Why are you saying this kind of nonsense? You're saying this kind of nonsense because you can say this kind of nonsense. The extent of the evidence against Sesame Place is that the 3-second original video, where the characters, their eyeballs and their heads are not matching the costume's head. I think they're seen through the mouth, which is a mesh. No, you can't see. You can't see. You're limited to what you can see below the mouth, the lower lip of the mouth. So you have to turn your whole head downwards to see. Like there's a lot of blind spots in the costume, and people go, well, they should fix the costumes then. It's not a big deal because you're just walking down a clearly delineated path. There's lines on the outside of they do the Sesame Parade, and there are these bright yellow lines that people are not supposed to pass over. You can stand on the edge, and the characters might give you a little high five, but they can't pose for photos, and they can't pick up the kid and hold the kid and pose for photos, because God forbid, what if they drop the kid? The litigation involved with touching kids, anything more than a high five, is just not worth it. If somebody gets hurt, and it's like, well, then you're dealing with the hundreds of thousands of dollars that deal with the lawsuit. It's like people are looking for a paycheck. Everybody knows this. That's why you're limited to high fives or standing next to a kid for a photograph, but it's a parade. It has to keep moving. So no, none of the allegations that these people claim, they don't show anything in these 1 minute video. In fact, the 1 minute video, not enough people are just honest. They're politically incorrect enough to say, yeah, you haven't shown any evidence to support your claim. Like, clearly you're just a grifter. You just want money. And the more outraged they get, the more you look at it like, oh, you just kind of, the more you have to drum up this fake emotional outrage and ad hominem and deflect from the central argument, kind of makes us feel like, yeah, you don't really have something to stand on. It looks like you just want a payout. It's like, yeah, obviously they want a payout. Nobody believes this. They don't even believe this. They're crossing their fingers. They're like, oh, ghetto lottery. Thank God. Please, at least $100,000. The lawyer takes 40%. We take 60%. It's something. Like, oh, you're going to spend that on therapy for the kid? No, we're probably going to spend that on alcohol. Like, pretty much alcohol is going to be, it's going to be a celebration. They didn't see the kid. Grifter wants to get paid. That's kind of the start and the end of the story. But Sesame Company or Sesame Place, I guess there's two separate companies, or one is, I don't know, hired out to run the other thing. They said first the initial statement they released, they go, oh yeah, it's a limited view costume. They just didn't see him. That's kind of the whole end of the story. And that was all you should have said. But then they keep getting this grifter crowd worked up on the Black Twitter is trying to get this girl to get paid. Like, everyone knows it's over nothing, but it's like they figure, oh, if we can get some money out of them, it's like it doesn't hurt the company any. It's like it doesn't hurt the company, it hurts the country, and you know it hurts the country. But you're still trying to get paid because, I mean, that's what parasites do. And these, like, the family's parasites and the lawyers are also parasites. So then the Sesame Place comes out and issues another statement. They go, they didn't admit fault because, like, there's nothing to admit. Like, you can't apologize if you didn't do anything wrong. It's like you should have stuck to your guns and said, listen, the character just didn't see it. You can follow us around the park if you want to have cameras and follow the characters around. You see they're gonna high five some kids and they're not gonna see other kids, and that's just the bottom line. There's nothing to apologize for. But they said, like, oh, we're gonna issue more, like, training, more bias training. For what? That wasn't the cause of this issue. The cause of the issue was there was nothing. There's, like, you can't high five every kid or else the parade stops. They get some kids, they don't get others, and they just don't see the kids who are too short. There's a picture, they show one video of they didn't see some black kids to give them high fives, some other video, and then they just go, oh look, he's hugging the little blonde girl. You watch the video, what happened was the two black kids are underneath the guy's field of vision. So is a little blonde girl. She walks up, she grabs the puppet's arm or the character's arm and pulls the arm down. I'm not saying it's not a big deal either way. Kids are being kids, but she made contact with the guy in the suit, pulled his arm down, and then he gave her a little half hug, and then he moved on. That's the only way he knew that she was down there, is because she grabbed his arm, and the little black kids didn't grab the guy's arm. So they didn't see him. It's like everything they do is a straw man. You think these high school kids are, like, they set out every day to put on this costume and go, oh, I'm going to ignore two adorable black girls. Just like, and they looked at the demographics of the area where the park is, and there's like a black, Latino population, Asian population. So, like, you don't know who's in the costume. It would be freaking hysterical if it turned out that it was a black guy in the costume, because, I mean, very well could be. So Sesame Place comes out and says, oh, we're going to have more training. It's like, well, that was a mistake. You shouldn't have said that, because now it's like, well, training for what? You just, like, we all know the character didn't do anything wrong. The guy didn't do anything wrong. Just say you're going to have more training when there's nothing to train for. I mean, there's nothing you could do. You can make the costume have better visibility. I mean, I guess you can improve that by putting more mesh, like, where the eyes are, for sure. But they still can't stop and hug or high five every kid on the parade route. There's just not enough time to do that because the parade is slowly moving. They have to keep walking. Everybody knows that this is a classic grifter for a shakedown for money. Sesame Place released the initial statement. It was a reasonable explanation, and that was it. And you should have released no more statements after that very reasonable explanation. You don't want to feed a fire oxygen. You don't want to get into it with them. You release one statement and you move on from that, I guess. So they ask you again. You go, oh, we've already released our statement. We didn't. I mean, it was a very reasonable explanation. You can please come to the park and take a look, and if you can find evidence of bias, then bring it to our attention. But so far, we haven't seen any. All they wanted was a payout. They want a settlement. Everyone can see this. And the lawyer gives the speech and goes, it's not about money. And then a few minutes later, he goes, but the girls do need to be compensated for the mental health. No, they don't. So you want us to give them therapy because they got ignored? Nobody believes this. And, like, you're making, like, America's on the brink of civil war. And it was funny because the lawyer was, as I said, almost a bridge of civil war, brink of civil war. The lawyer was mispronouncing words also. It was weird to see, like, how did you pass the bar, dude? Did you give you extra time or something? I mean, if that was my legal representation, I would be looking for someone else. So, like, why would Sesame Place have bias training if bias didn't play any part and you didn't do anything wrong. You don't want to feed these people oxygen. You got to stop treating them as if they're anything other than grifters. And the thing is, unless you call out grifters, you'll always be enslaved by grifters. That's why you never apologize to Marxists or grifters. You don't apologize because you didn't do anything wrong, and you just got to put a period on that and move it on. It's like the arguments people are making on Twitter, because they're trying to help this girl get a payout. I was like, the high school kids are like, this is their second costume, which, don't get me wrong, those are badass costumes. I wish those were politically correct, because they look very, very cool. They look like Cobra Commander. You can't dress like Cobra Commander anymore because it's I think it was Cobra Commander in the G.I. Joes, because it's a hooded face. I don't know, something like that. It's like, oh, it's a hood. It's not politically correct. It's like, oh, there's a few billion people who wear face coverings in one part of the world. You're going to tell them it's not politically correct? Like, oh, these people are such pussies. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.